Welcome to the Swedish Gaming Dudes. My name is Johan.
I'm John.
And I'm Justin.
And today we're going to talk about our gaming journey, basically. Our start becoming gamers. What was our first consoles and which game did we play, and also how that journey evolved to newer consoles as the game industry progressed and so on. So we're going to deep dive into our sort of gaming journey as gamers today. And thank you so much for everyone that's following us, and welcome all new members since the last episode. You're very welcome here. And we are searching a little bit for subjects to discuss on our podcast. If you're listening and have some ideas or suggestions, it would be very nice to hear from you, to get some sort of inspiration as well, what you want to hear us talk about and discuss. But before we get into our gaming journey, what are you guys playing right now? John?
Oh yeah, so I got into this Mega Man X8 demake, it's really hard as expected, but it's really good.
Cool.
So I started doing that, and as well, Final Fantasy IV remake on the DS.
Nice.
Actually pretty good too.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
The Mega Man 8 demake, as you said, is it like 8-bit graphics, or is it like how...
It's Super Nintendo style.
Super Nintendo style,
yeah,
okay,
so
cool.
for PS2 that is. Because the PS2 version of the game was, well, kind of better than the X7, but still not good.
Yeah, okay. Cool. Justin, how about you?
Been diving deep into Civilization 7 that was released the other week.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's very good, not as good as Civilization 5, but with all the DLC, that was a really, really good Civilization game. There's still, so the 7 is still a bit rough around the edges, so to speak.
Yeah.
There's something they could improve that I hope they improve. Obviously, they have a lot of DLCs planned for the next few months.
Okay.
So it will be nice to see where they take it next.
Okay.
That's mostly what I've been playing. I don't think I've played anything else.
No?
Actually.
Do you feel like it's living up to its expectations as a sequel, or is it more like you're missing some parts from the earlier versions of?
No, it's good. It's basically what you would expect from a Civilization game. But the most annoying thing is that there is no, when you win or lose the game in the other ones, you have the options just one more turn. So you can keep playing even if the game has ended. So you can keep expanding your empire. And in Civ 7, it's just finished. Yeah. When someone wins, it's just finished. So you can't keep playing. So I was so close to building this or achieving this. So that's, I guess, both good and bad.
Okay.
But it's very interesting. They changed it up a lot. So you don't pick one civilization that you play through the whole game. They divided it into 3 eras. We have the ancient era, the classic, and modern, I think. So between each era, there's a big disaster, like all the plague starts ravaging your country. And so everybody dies, and it goes into revolt, so there's a religious crisis and stuff like that.
Cool.
So you switch civilization twice in the game, which I think is very good because there's like a soft reset. In the old ones, if you got ahead early in the game, it would be really hard for the others to catch up. So you could halfway through the game, it could already be decided, John will win because he's so far ahead of us, we have no way of catching up. So I think it's a good, a breath of fresh air. Some new ideas that improves. Cool. But it's interesting. What about you? What have you been?
I've been playing actually Stellar Blade, this action adventure game on PS5, and it was a lot of fun actually. Sort of cool mix with this fast-paced action sort of Devil May Cry style, but also have some open areas where you can explore more, and there's a mix of linear and open world action. But it was fun. Some strange design choices, I think, with level design, because I think this is the studio's first game that made this one. But very good graphics, and good, the battle system is very fun and addicting, and all the moves and stuff like that. So it's been really fun, actually. Yeah. But I also, when I finished that, I started to play Metal Gear Solid 5 again, The Phantom Pain, and I started with a new save file. So right now I'm just focusing on that and rebuilding my outer heaven through all the missions, and it's a very immersive game compared to the other ones in the series. Very special, but I really like it, and the way you get to craft your own base, basically, with you're recruiting your own army, and researching and developing weapons and stuff like that. It's much busy work, but it's a lot of fun, and also doing the missions. So I think we're playing Metal Gear Solid 5 now until summer or something, because that's a big task to do, to play that.
Wow, amazing.
So it's a classic. Yeah.
I forgot I texted you guys when I tried, because it's Super Wario Land for the Game Boy, Super Wario Land 3.
Yeah.
It was fun for maybe 10 minutes. It's so bad.
Oh, it's so bad?
Yeah, it's so bad.
I believe I finished it once upon a time.
There's the one where you don't have power-ups, or the power-ups come from getting hit by an enemy. So you get hit by a fire enemy, or there might be power-ups, and I was just too stupid to get far enough, because I think I managed to get through 2 levels.
Oh. Yeah, because I think that one of the Wario games is that you instead of power-ups, you power down instead. You get hit by enemies, and you can get drunk, or you can get really fat or something.
Yeah,
so you can use that it's a detriment to your character, but you can also use it in certain situations. It's like the opposite of Mario or something. So it's a very interesting
really
idea. Yeah.
Interesting idea, not very well executed.
Okay. Yeah, the Wario series has a lot of fans. I know they are still wanting, sequels to that sort of games. Yeah. I don't know if we'll ever get one, but it's has some followers. Absolutely.
I think that Super Mario Land 3 for the Game Boy was Wario.
It
was the main, and that was a really, really good game.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, that was fun. They released the 4th one now on the online service for Switch for Game Boy Advance. I have to try it. I tried it a little bit. It was sort of cool graphics, like this almost drawn, animated style, But it's the level design I thought was sort of boring, but I think get more into it. But it's also have this chaotic nature of how you play the game, very opposite of Mario. So, but I guess that's the appeal, to do something crazy instead.
I guess so. Isn't it that game where you were invincible or indestructible? You could still, get thrown back a level or whatever if you would fall down pits, but enemies can't kill you head on.
In the 4th one, you at least have hearts. So I played for a while and I didn't die, but I just tried it for 15 minutes or something like that. But I think one of the early ones is that you say you can't die.
Wario 3 for the Game Boy.
All right.
So so it's cool to experiment, I think, sometimes with game design.
Yeah, you have to try before you know if it works or not.
Yeah,
and I'm glad that they did, because they would say, okay, it was a good idea, but it really didn't work. What if we use that idea and just tweak it like this, tweak it like that? Yeah. So still, even if it's a bad game, it can help the innovation of the next game.
Sure.
Definitely, yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
That's great.
Okay, so should we start talking about our gaming journey through life?
I think so.
I think so, yeah. So are we going to start from the beginning? What was the start of this, our hobby?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Made us gamers. John, do you want to start?
Sure.
First memory of first gaming?
Yeah, so I actually have my first memory. This is not just gaming-wise, but first memory as a whole ever in my life. I just remember being in this house where I was living with Mom, her husband, and my 2 older sisters, and my twin sister at the time. Yeah. And downstairs we had this huge TV. Okay, it was huge for me.
24 inches.
And I just remember that we had an NES, and they played something together. I don't really remember what it was, but I just remember I couldn't look away for a second. And that was my start of it all. And my two older sisters actually taught me how to play video games. And later on, I started to get more familiar with these games. Super Mario Bros. 1, and there was Kid Icarus, as well as Mega Man 2. There were a few other games, and in the village, the village that we were living in, we actually had to lend games amongst our friends in the village, and it was an amazing thing to do. But I also came across that some of these friends in the village actually later on, once it was released, had the Super Nintendo, and that just changed everything. I just remembered I was so jealous. I could not even think about, like, it looks so amazing, it feels amazing. I love the controller, I love the graphics, the music, the games, and everything is just leveled up. So I remember everything from the Super Mario World. What was it, 92 or 91? It was released, maybe?
Yeah, sometime around there, yeah.
And I just love the fact that, the controller was more ergonomic and everything just felt a lot more different, and the graphics were more appealing. I love the humor kind of side of things, visually, how the game looked. And it was so much, something that I really wanted but never got as a kid. So we were stuck with the 8-bit, and I just had to admit defeat that, this is what I'm stuck with, this is what I'm playing. And I did find some of these amazing games in there, like, Pro Protector, which I borrowed over and over. And we always implemented the Konami code. Because without it, it was like, unbeatable. But it was amazing for 2-player, and that was truly fun. I cannot really... It's really hard to describe what was really fun with it, but it was just so immersive in a way that, I just love the fact that you work together towards the same goal, helping one another. And it was just so amazing. And single-player games, well, some of them were actually really fun. I remember, for some reason, Super Mario Bros. 1, I grew up to hate it.
First one, okay.
Yeah, the first one, But the second and the third, I really loved, like, a lot. But obviously, we didn't have those.
Okay.
But it was just so amazing. Like, I'm still thinking about them these days, how they've influenced games that came after. But that was pretty much the, I was barely, what was I? Like 2 years as the 80s ended. So the 90s was pretty much when it all started. Mostly for me, but How about you guys?
Justin, you want to go?
I think I'm a few years older than you.
Yeah, about 2 or something like that.
Yeah, so it's not, but I had older siblings. So Commodore 64 was our first console.
Nice.
Huge debate when people say, is it a console or is it a computer? It's in between. So Gianna Sisters is the biggest game that has said this was probably one of the first video games I played. The Super Mario clone.
Exactly. That's very much a Mario clone.
So that's where I started, and we got an NES a few years later. So of course Super Mario, the first Zelda game, and Metroid. Really, I've loved talked about it before. Metroid is great. I still think the first Metroid is one of the best. But it's probably the rose-tinted glasses.
Very tinted. Did you play that remake of Zero Mission on Game Boy Advance? It's a remake of the first game.
Yeah, my younger brother had it for the Game Boy Advance. So I borrowed it quite a few times.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It's really, really well made.
I think so too. It's on Switch Online now. It's so good, so good. when my first it was also actually Commodore 64 actually, and my parents bought for me and my brother one Christmas. I think they found it like on an ad somewhere. They bought it quite cheap, I think. But like this, computer, wow, like that. And I knew about video games and computer games, but like Commodore 64, you got all these cassette tapes to it, and you had to like search and rewind or fast forward to a certain place on a tape, because 20 or 30 games on a tape sometimes, and then you had to load it with a certain device with you had to crank up settings and stuff just to get into the game. So it's like 20 minutes or something just to start the game or something, but it was like a first introduction to it, and we also had Gianna Sisters, and we had a Batman game based on the movie, Tim Burton movie, the first one, and so that was a lot of fun just trying out games. And but I think I got more into, because I started to notice that friends had a Nintendo 8-bit system, and it was like, wow, you can just use a cassette and it starts immediately, that you can do that. And also with the control, because we had a really stupid control for the Commodore. It was like a dome-shaped button that you placed your whole hand on, and then you like switched your hand to left or right to control the characters. It was a horrible way to play video games, but with this classic Nintendo controller, as you had this way better control on the games. And so I remember me and my brother, we saved money together to buy the first Nintendo system. So that was a lot of fun. Having the first Super Mario game came with the console, but also playing like Super Mario 2 and 3, I remember, was huge when the third game came. I thought that was the first guide I bought to a game, was for the third game, I remember. And we had also Mega Man games 2 and 3, and lots of Capcom made a lot of good Disney games also, Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers and stuff like that. Very fun game.
Great game.
Very fun game. And also I actually didn't buy the Zelda games. That was when the Super Nintendo came along. I got into the Zelda games, but just having that 8-bit console, you could play with 2 players in a Mario game. We didn't have actually Contra or Probotector. We didn't have that, but it's more like single-player games. Castlevania, also 1, 2, and 3. Completed the second one with a guide, because it's impossible otherwise to complete that game. But I got so into it, and it became more and more important as a hobby and something you did after school with friends, because more people started to play, more kids also got the console, so just evolved from that basically. And then also got into Super Nintendo, as you said, John. Me and my brother, we saved up for that. And I remember first time playing that, I was with my mom in a store in Malmö, so here in Sweden. But it's just playing Super Mario World for the first time, the feeling of that and the graphics. Because I still remember, wow, the shock of how it felt and the graphic, and it's still
mind-blowing.
And it still has a special place in my heart, that game. So it's naturally evolved into the 16-bit era as well. So.
Oh yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything else that you want to bring into the 90s, or bring out from the 90s?
Yeah, we didn't have the Super Nintendo. We had the Sega Mega. The Genesis.
Mm-hmm. Genesis. Mega Drive, it's here, but it's Genesis in the States.
Yeah. And with the CD add-on.
Oh, cool.
Must have been 40 centimeters wide. So it was probably bigger than the Commodore 64. So there was some really, really interesting. We had I wrote down what it was called.
Yeah.
The Road Blaster.
Blaster.
A car game. That was like the classic Laserdisc games, where I think Dragon Slayer was, where you got the instructions on the screen. So you have to press up now to jump over this dragon, or you have to press A to hit the dragon. It was same, but a car game. And it was really incredibly fast. You just control the car, but you have to hit left at the right time, right at the right time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was, I don't know how many hours me and my brother spent with that, because we said one of us played and the other wrote down, okay, now it's a left arrow, so okay, now it dies. So we start from the top of the page, and we got 3 more commands into the story.
Yeah. It sounds almost like this QuickTime events.
Yeah, exactly.
It
was
just
a game, only QuickTime events in the whole game.
Wow.
Was the CD, was it capable of, more like 3D graphics in a way, or more like just advanced graphics?
I'm not sure. I don't think there was like 3D as in a Nintendo 64 3D. Not that I can recall, at least, or at least not the games we had.
No.
That was... we had Golden Axe, I think it was on the Genesis. We played the Golden Axe.
Yeah.
It was a classic game.
Yeah.
Just go hit things. Have you played it, Jan?
Yeah, I have in the later days, but yeah. Really, that was my favorite games. But yeah, I was going to say actually regarding the Sega CD, I've never played it myself in its original hardware, but I've seen YouTube footage from this game, Sonic CD. And it seems to be some sort of faster hardware, and it feels like without that the game wouldn't have been able to keep up with all those details to render everything in real time, and the game just looks better. And they would implement different kinds of angles, as you would have him, have Sonic run in this kind of loop. But then they changed perspective as he's running, and I guess at the time it just looked amazing.
Yeah. I actually got a Sega Genesis as well. My mom also found like an ad in the newspaper. Some guy sold his, so we got a lot of fun games to it. Like the first Sonic game, and Altered Beast was also a nice side-scrolling action game, and Ghostbusters. That was actually a good Ghostbusters game on that system compared to the NES version. That's horrible.
Oh yeah.
And but it's so we had some games for Sega Genesis, but then when you went over to the Super Nintendo, I think we sold the Genesis, that we just didn't play it anymore, because we found the SNES games was so much more redefining, and like did so much more
better quality overall on the Super Nintendo games than the
I think so. I mean, Sega Genesis has some really good games, some good a very good Castlevania game, and Sonic games and stuff like that, but and I also preferred like how the Super Nintendo games felt to play with the controller, and also the sounds. It can do more with the sounds. I know people really like the Sega Genesis, like the style of the music, how it sounded like that, but to me I just prefer the 16-bit on Super Nintendo that had more like feel to it. So I guess we just stopped playing the Sega Genesis and like sold it off when Super Nintendo became bigger and bigger and more games were released for it. So yeah.
Oh yeah, and I
can actually wars.
Console wars.
Especially between the companies. Were one of Sega's best ads. The Genesis does what Nintendo don't.
I'll never forget that.
That's a classic.
That is
That's
so
a classic. Yeah.
But regarding what you said, Johan, I actually remembered that there were those kinds of games where you could actually directly compare should you actually come across these versions of the game. Like Lion King. It was available on the Genesis, the Mega Drive, such as the Super Nintendo, and I would say that the Super Nintendo, I really have not really checked the facts on when it comes to really specs, but it seems to be superior both when it comes to controls, sounds, and visuals.
Yeah.
And it's just it's even like to me it's a little bit off-putting, because it feels like it's kind of synthetic to bring out the worst kinds of sounds that comes out of the Genesis sometimes. But the Super Nintendo, I really like it.
Yeah.
Because it just feels like that's some true Marvel engineering right there.
Yeah. I said with Super Mario World did so much, just like the first released game, like with graphics and the music, and introducing like Yoshi as a main character to the Mario series, but then you got like Super Castlevania 4. That's a masterpiece. It's still very good, and for some fans it's the best, still best Castlevania game. Like with the music, almost like you had like this classic orchestra almost in the background, and just the way it felt to control Simon Belmont in that game. You can whip in different directions. You weren't locked into like in the old 8-bit games with this whipping and this huge knockback every time you got hit. bit, and you still had that in the Super Nintendo game, but it was more like forgiving, and you had more like continues and checkpoints like that. So it was sort of also a more forgiving, starting to become more forgiving for gamers, like in the original Nintendo 8-bits. And also my first experience with the Zelda games, playing A Link to the Past for the first time, was also like mind-boggling. Like, because I remember I got home from school and it was raining very much, like really heavy rain. And then just coming home, and I think my mom went and bought the game and just starting it up, and then we wake up as Link in the beginning. It rains a lot in the game, you know. It felt like 4D almost, you know, because you had heard the rain like on the roof in the game, and then into that storm, and when you get into the open world past the first like part with Zelda, and just like, wow, this is incredible, and you can just choose to explore and go wherever you want, basically. So it's like, it's just pushing everything forward all the time, you know. A Link to the Past is a masterpiece.
That's nice.
Especially when you collected the medallions.
The medallions,
and you get to the castle in the middle, you think, I'm going to beat the game.
Yeah.
No, you're halfway through. Now. Let's go to the Dark Realm or whatever it was called.
It was.
It was so cool, cool. Like you beat this Dark Wizard, Hanagim, something like that.
Hanagim.
Yeah. And he becomes Ganon, you know, and as you say, the world changes into this dark world, and suddenly you're on this huge pyramid, you know, and in the background of that, you see like this tower and how the sun is setting, you know. And I have to go there, basically, you know. So it felt so vast, and the way it presented that dark world, and also the music is like, oh my god. So it's so good, and just evolving the sort of how you can do Zelda dungeons, basically, with all the puzzles and everything. So, masterpiece.
Yeah, definitely. So that was throughout the 90s as you played that one for the first time.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I was really late with that one. That took until once I actually bought my first Super Nintendo back in 2010.
Okay.
But I heard about it. I wanted to play it, so much before, but never really had a good of a chance to do that.
Yeah, but when you go back to older games, if you missed them when they first came out, you have the possibility to play them. Do you feel like you're playing them like, it's so cool to see where everything starts in the series or where it come from? Can you see it with, like that's the evolution of the games? And
definitely, I would say so.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like I kind of, in one way, appreciate how much heart and soul that was put into creating these old games in the first iterations and the first generations in their series, and comparing for instance Zelda games, how they look now, it is like, well, they do look visually good, but they don't really have the same kind of feeling that I would get from the old kind of Zelda games. I guess I would have, as I'm going back to certain games, like Zelda 1. I think it looks horrible, but it's so much so that it makes it difficult to actually enjoy.
Yeah,
I did force myself through it, but I had to remind myself, okay, this is from '85. It's maybe '85. Things weren't better.
No, the Super Nintendo is easier, I think, to go back to if you haven't played it. I think it's a better if you want to experience more retro type.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I feel like you still want to be able to differentiate what different kinds of objects in the games are looking like, and everything is just a huge blur.
Yeah,
it's not as enjoyable.
No. But speaking of Metroid, as you say, Justin, like Super Metroid, one of the best games ever made. Yeah. It's a masterpiece, absolute masterpiece. I can't stop playing it when I start. I have to finish it in one go, basically. But just the style, like evolving, you have this map and how you evolve Samus, and also the music is insane in that game. The atmosphere, it's a 16-bit game, but it has this thick atmosphere isolated on this alien planet, and it's so damn good, that game. Still so good. I think Nintendo's still trying to pass it, in quality with Metro games. So I don't think they can really. It's like this perfect masterpiece in a way.
Yeah, I kind of get what you mean. Like, it's definitely a masterpiece.
Yeah.
All it really sets the bar. And I feel like certain Metroid games have not lived up to that standard. No.
I really enjoy the Prime series, but like the 2D
Metroid games is like Super Metroid is like peak Metroid.
It is, yeah, definitely.
But it's interesting also to see, speaking of graphics in old games, how the graphics evolved even on the same console. They started to figure out, okay, how can we push this a little further with the same hardware? I mean, if you compare the graphics of Super Mario 1 and Super Mario 3. So if you were to tell someone that this is the same console, these two games, so basically people wouldn't believe you and say, no, it can't be. It's so much better in Super Mario 3.
Definitely.
And it's usually the same with the PlayStation 1. If you compare Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 9. There's a huge difference in what they were able to do with the console after sort of figuring it out. And I think both Super Metroid and Link to the Past did very much with the Super Nintendo's capabilities already from the get-go.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely. And you can also see it evolving like into these Donkey Kong Country games, for example, on the Super. Also with the graphic styles on that, so cool. You had never seen such graphics before, you know, when the first Donkey Kong Country came out. And also that soundtrack, I still listen to it to this day. The soundtrack to Donkey Kong Country.
It is amazing. I'm thinking like it feels like it reminds me a little bit with the Donkey Kong Country games. Killer Instinct on Super Nintendo. It feels like it has some sort of the same kind of visual creation process.
It's Rare that made that as well. That made Donkey Kong Country. The same company, developing company. When I go to the gym, I can sometimes listen to the Killer Instinct soundtrack because it's very good. When I bought the game, I got like remixes of the soundtrack on a CD, like a bonus, and it's very good music. So it's the same as in the game, but it sounds, you know, very crisp and clean. It's very good, like motivational, like nice workout music. Yeah, it's very good. Killer Instinct was really cool.
Oh, that's great. So I don't really know if you really remember if I mentioned this regarding the 90s.
Yeah.
But I remembered, there were perhaps like 2 or 3 games from the Super Nintendo. I should actually say 4 because I want to include Super Metroid.
Yeah.
Actually, Super Metroid, I didn't play it until 2010. So no, that one is excluded for me for now. But yeah, there was Turtles in Time. One of the major ones that I really loved.
One of the best multiplayer games on Super Nintendo.
It's still such an inspiring, even today. Because, split screen cannot be beat.
No. And compared to, as you said, with the Sega game, you got like Hyperstone Heist or something, like a Turtles game. But they hadn't, on Genesis, you couldn't do all the things that you could on the Super Nintendo. For this classic move, you could throw the foot soldiers to the screen out of the TV, basically. And Sega couldn't do that, so you have a huge difference in quality game-wise. But so that's one example where it came to 2 different consoles, but 2 different games altogether. Even if it shares the same like character sprites and stuff like that, it's totally different games.
Yeah, it is, definitely. Like, I remember different kinds of stories and such, but so great example right there. That would, from there I would say that would, not entirely close the 90s for me because we still haven't spoken about the Nintendo 64, but I want to ensure by you, is there anything else that you want to talk about before we get to other things?
Could just mention on the Super Nintendo, we never got them here in Europe, at least in Sweden for some reason, but you have like this masterpieces like Final Fantasy VI in the order it's 3 in the US, I think, came out to the Super Nintendo, and it's this masterpiece.
Yes, of course.
With all the characters, Kefka the villain, and we had a whole episode of Final Fantasy. But we never got them here. You had to import them if you want to play them here, and it was very expensive, I remember. So I never got the chance to play them Also a classic Chrono Trigger, one of the also big RPGs, never got released here in Europe for us to play. So I didn't play it until much later on emulator, because they still haven't released that game. Nintendo doesn't like money for some reason. They could just re-release Chrono Trigger and make tons of money. So certain masterpieces we didn't get here, actually. So I was sort of late to them. You had to play it on emulator. So, but also pushing what you could do with this epic. I mean, Final Fantasy and Chrono Trigger takes a long time to complete. So not just these short games, but you have these big epic RPGs on Super Nintendo, like masterpieces. So Super Nintendo is by far one of the best consoles ever been made. It's such a good console.
Amen to that.
Yeah. So I think that was sort of the end journey there, and then you start to get into like a PlayStation 1. Also got released. Yeah.
In 94, I remember.
94, I think. Yeah.
And
so then
the
it shifted.
64. Do you guys remember when that was released? Because I do remember sometimes, I was talking to the people, the friends in my village, and first people were just talking about the Nintendo 64, and then sometime later they went like, nah, PlayStation, that's better.
Yeah, I don't think it was very far after.
No, I think it was, as a PlayStation 1 was first, but then I'm going to check here, release date. 96, it was released, Nintendo 64. Yeah.
In 96, right. Okay.
No, because
and PlayStation 1 was in 94.
94, okay.
I had no idea it was... I thought it was released around the same time as the...
It feels like that when you think about it. No, because PlayStation 1 was so cool. Also seeing like the commercials for it, that you had the 3D graphics, like whoa, was so cool. So I remember me and my brother also, we always used to save up money together and just buy a console together. So we bought the PS1 and we bought Resident Evil 1 for it. So and I was like, oh my god! And we forgot to buy like a memory card because we didn't know that you had to buy it. But I think we bought it pretty quickly after that. But just playing like Resident Evil, it scared the shit out of me playing Resident Evil 1, where you haven't seen that sort of 3D graphics before, and like the atmosphere of that first game with the mansion and the zombies. And I had like some zombie. I was scared because when I was a kid, we saw like Return to the Living Dead when I was small, and it scared me.
Perfect kids movie.
Yeah, it's traumatized. So for me, playing Resident Evil 1 was like having all that trauma coming back to me. Like, oh my god! Today, like the characters look like Minecraft characters almost, But it was so, you hadn't seen graphics like that, and haven't had a game that had that atmosphere before, and that realism felt so real back then,
Yeah.
But so never forget playing Resident Evil 1 for the first time. I had a hard time sleeping. I had to go up and watch a movie just to get something different to think about. And yeah, but it was a huge leap what you could do with video games when it came to PlayStation 1, and of course Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy taking that step into that world, also like changing gaming culture forever, what you can do with RPGs, and also the way you can tell stories in video games with animated video sequences and these 3D models, and what you do with sound and music, and so it's a huge shift when PlayStation 1 was released. I think Nintendo and Sony were collaborating on it.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, because it ties back to you saying Nintendo doesn't like money.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were supposed to release it as a CD add-on to Nintendo, and then for some reason they couldn't get along, so Sony just said, screw you guys, we will make our own console.
Oh, yeah. Smart move. Yeah, because then it was really cool when you got the Nintendo 64. I mean, you saw some much smoother graphics in a way, but then also the cartridges were sort of more limited than a disc was, So it was, different, and the people that played like Nintendo 64, like, it's more like a kid's console. It started like that with Nintendo games were more kid-friendly, and PlayStation was more like for the cool kids, and the teens playing more like cooler games, and so you have a more divide console-wise when those were released. Absolutely.
Yeah. Wasn't there? Because now at Nintendo 64 we're getting to the dark ages of my video game history. I didn't play basically anything for a couple of years there, so I never had the first-hand experience of the Nintendo 64 as a kid. But wasn't there a CD add-on released to the 64 in Japan?
Yeah, there was that 64 DD expansion, whatever kind of a thing.
But wasn't that like big, not a CD disc, but more like cartridges or something?
Maybe it's cartridges, but I do believe that it's quite a big slot.
I think it's like I think it's like a big old like VCR, looks like almost like a big plastic thing that you. But I think it was released in Japan, but it was never like. I don't know. It didn't took off. Like it didn't.
Did not.
No, because some were speculating. I was reading a lot of Swedish gaming magazines, and they said like, oh, you could get when you bought one of those magazines. Sometimes you got like a PlayStation disc with demos on it. But they said, oh, if Nintendo releases these cartridges, you can get a cartridge with different games on it and stuff like that. But they never did because it never took off. I think.
No, exactly.
I don't think you can compete with a CD. You know.
It's much cheaper, or it must be cheaper to send out a demo CD than a demo cartridge.
Yeah,
definitely. Plus the fact that also a CD of that time made it a whole lot more easier to choose whatever length you want a game to be with its given settings. I'm thinking like the Final Fantasy games where it doesn't really fit on one disc.
Yeah.
And it's just so amazing that they weren't worried that they would gonna have to like make cuts in other variables of the game to make it work, but rather just add discs.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
I think Ocarina of Time, speaking of file size, is like 256 megabytes or something. It's like very, very small, but it's amazing. I think it's a cool thing with Nintendo that the console has its limitations, even with the Switch, for example. But they really redefine what you can do with that sort of technology, like thinking about Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey, for example. That looks incredible, like on this limited hardware in a way.
You can do very much with very little.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to for innovation as well. That we can't do everything, so what can we do? And we have to be smart about what we do, and you usually get much cooler results from that.
Yeah. I really think that, it's kind of a sad thing now that you got me to think about it, because I remember, Ocarina of Time was playable just with a Nintendo 64, along with its accessories, the controller. But when it came to Majora's Mask, you needed the expansion piece. That you would insert to the console. And if you would buy Donkey Kong 64, that would be pre-supplied with a game. But I don't believe that it came along with Majora's Mask.
No. I bought my expansion pack for Nintendo 64, I remember. Separately, yeah. No, but I mean, like PlayStation had that with the CD, but Nintendo 64 revolutionized with the controller. I mean, we can make fun of the controller today, how it feels, how it looks, but it was the first controller with that joystick, that you can use to control 3D games. It was completely revolutionary, and that's why, like games like Mario 64, it's still a masterpiece. It still holds up, and it's even more fun to play now on newer consoles with better controls, where you can more, it's easier with not that simple plastic little stick that like breaks, and that game was designed to break that stick, when you capture Bowser and you have to swing him around and throw him into a bomb or something. You have to swing that joystick around, completely broke it. So, but it was revolutionary. Nobody had done that before, and then after that, PlayStation made the dual controller, with dual joysticks. So
it feels like Nintendo sort of always have been a step ahead with the control. Same with the Wii controller, with the motion sensors, and nobody else did that.
No,
or at least not well executed.
No, and everybody, both Sony and Microsoft, started doing more motion controls after the Wii, because it was such a huge hit and started to influence game development. So
definitely.
But lots of fun memories with the Nintendo 64, Mario 64, Ocarina of Time was a shock to me playing that for the first time. I realized that games can be so much more than video games. Like you just like exploring a world, felt so alive. I'll never forget going out on like Hyrule Field for the first time and just seeing the sun set behind the castle. It's shifting to night, and like, oh my God, you can do this in games?
So impressive.
I was totally shocked. I will never forget playing it for the first time, what you can do. So that had a huge impact on me for my gaming journey. And on the PlayStation side, besides Final Fantasy VII, that's also big. My favorite game series started on that, Metal Gear Solid 1. That was, I mean, I was in shock that you could do that with this, writing that sort of story, and you had that voice acting and like telling this complex story and just making this tight spy game, you know, just avoiding, you know, all the infiltrating Shadow Moses and all the bosses. It was so extremely memorable. So from that period come the most two important games for me, Metal Gear Solid 1 and Ocarina of Time. So
yeah. I just got to think of this, like, you know, both the Nintendo 64 and the PlayStation 1 had these kinds of very, you know, like expansion ports that you could, like, you know, utilize hardwares in different kinds of ways, but they were rarely used for, you know, really adding something to the gameplay experience.
Yeah.
The Nintendo 64 had the expansion piece, which worked, but it just increased the RAM capacity. And what that really means, I don't really know, but it seems like it, you know, the data processing goes faster. But the PlayStation 1, I've never seen anything that would be like a necessity to you know, actually have a game being compatible and ready to play.
No, I don't think it had that. No, I don't think it had that. No, no, because as you said, two of my also favorite games on 64, we had GoldenEye, totally revolutionary. Where you could play shooters in split screen with friends. So many fun memories. But also the sequel to that, Perfect Dark. And if you didn't have the expansion pack, you couldn't play the single player story. You could only play the multiplayer story or multiplayer part.
I had no idea, but now that I think about it, I remember the box art.
So you had to buy it to play the whole, like, the story, to unlock all the characters for the multiplayer part. But it's such a fun idea because, I mean, everybody thought, like, after GoldenEye they're just going to buy a Perfect Dark for the multiplayer. So we focus on that so people can play that, and then you can buy the expansion pack if you want to play the story part. But that's a very, like, good example of how you couldn't play the whole game if you didn't have that expansion
pack. It's a
pack.
predecessor to DLCs.
Yeah, basically. The single player part is a DLC. That's cool. Yeah, no, but it's it made a difference. And I remember I also had the Turok games, also first person action games, also fun. And I think the second part you could play it, but when you had the expansion pack, it looked way better when you played it than without it. The graphics were way better. Yeah, but I don't think PlayStation 1 had something like that. You could always play the PlayStation games.
Exactly.
I think so. I can't remember anything either.
No.
It was kind of interesting. Like, I remember there were different kinds of iterations of the PlayStation 1, but it usually does not really affect whether a game is playable or not, because they're always playable. It would just be, you know, okay, this one has the composite ports in the actual chassis, whereas otherwise it would be, you would have the cable itself being split into these various plugs. But it's not something...
Not hardware-wise, like game performance-wise.
No.
Nothing like that. Yeah. Nothing PlayStation 1 Pro.
Exactly.
And we skipped two big ones from the 90s. The original Game Boy. Was also, I had it on my list, but nobody else played it when you were kids, it seems like.
I got it. I had the first Game Boy, and I actually had the Turtles game for it, and Tetris, and that was a lot of fun. I had Super Mario Land.
That was a great one. The first I played I think I had all three in the end. I think so too. And also Link's Awakening, this really good Zelda game. So Game Boy was very fun to take with you when you were out with family or traveling and stuff. Just playing good games on the go. So Game Boy, I played it a lot, and also at home, just plugged in the cord so you didn't have to worry about the power to it, and just sitting at the table playing it for hours,
Oh yeah, so, I do remember that too. Like, I had the Game Boy at some point. That was my first owned console that I had that I didn't share with anyone. I let people play, but I didn't share it owner-wise. And it was Mario Land 1 that I had. And I remembered I finished that game a ton of times, and I remember it well today, where it was like playing, and you got far into the game, and you would have this light show you that, the battery's about to go out.
Yeah.
But I just ignored that. I was like, yeah, whatever. I kept on playing, and then the batteries died, and I got furious.
Yeah, no, that was a great console, I think. Yeah, also revolutionary, also, and with the Tetris game that came with it, so much fun.
And speaking of actually Game Boy, now I think of it, because Game Boy was actually the first time when I played a game that is, a little bit like Final Fantasy, but still not, because you would have the system of leveling up throughout battles and experience points. Pokemon Red.
Oh,
that was amazing.
Nice.
Because I didn't have to mind too much about text. I was in middle school, so I could read some of it. But remember, I got Pokemon Red, and my little brother had Pokemon Yellow, and his cousins had Pokemon Blue. And it was just so amazing to trade Pokemons amongst one another through this link cable. I had the Game Boy Original, and they had, the cousins had the Game Boy Pocket in different colors. And my little brother got the Game Boy Color. And it was just so amazing. Yeah, with Game Boy, with Pokemon Yellow, and it was just so amazing because it just felt like it was a socializing kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't directly split screen gameplay, but still just amazing to experience.
Yeah,
I do kind of miss that.
I think Tetris also had multiplayer. You competed against each other, but you had this cable you had to connect between the Game Boys. But it was fun. Yeah. No, Game Boy was also revolutionary. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And that is, let's say I don't really remember when the Game Boy Pocket was released, but I had the Game Boy Original, and then I kept on getting the ones that, one generation later, so the next one I got was Game Boy Advance, even though that maybe Game Boy Color should be its own generation, because I do believe it had its own exclusive games.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, so I guess that it was a little more powerful, barely noticeable. And then Game Boy Advance with 32-bit that wasn't really used.
Yeah.
And then the DS, and then 3DS, and then Switch. So.
Yeah, because it has evolved into the Switch, as you said, with the home console and portable console, just combined into one, and it's brilliant. It's a huge hit. So that's why people can take it on the go, or play it on the TV, and no matter what you prefer, you could just choose. So
Sega had some handheld.
Yeah, Game Gear.
Yeah, they had actually two.
Yeah.
So first was the Game Gear, because it was the actual competitor of the Game Boy.
To the Game Boy.
Yeah, it required 6 AA batteries.
Yeah, it was huge. I know a friend had
with
it.
A very small screen.
Hard
to play.
It was really...
but that was the color screen, right?
Yeah.
That was the big selling point compared to the Game Boy.
Yeah.
You had color and it was small. The screen was smaller than Game Boy.
Very small. Yeah. And I remember later on, Nintendo, when I was saying Sega, released the Sega Nomad, which meant that it was a portable Mega Drive or Genesis.
Oh.
Well, that's cool. I didn't know that.
I haven't seen that.
That was amazing. It's really hard to get these days, but instead of just 2 buttons, you had 6 face buttons.
Yeah,
cool.
That you could use with your thumb. So it just feels like if you want, you need to somehow solve the battery problem if you wouldn't have the AC adapter, but still, it's an option. I'm looking around for one of those.
Yeah, cool.
And then we had the Dreamcast. Was it the late 90s?
Yeah, it has to be.
Right?
Yeah, the one that initiated that generation.
Yeah. That was also a big leap with the graphics and the design of the controller.
Wasn't it like a boomerang shape?
Almost, yeah. And the cord went from the bottom to the console instead of on top of it. And the memory card, you put it inside the controller, and it had some graphics to certain games and stuff like that. And I never had Dreamcast myself, but my brother, he bought it and played like the Sonic game, the first one that came out. Yeah. But he specifically bought it for the Shenmue games, 1 and 2, and those were really good. Also, like pushing boundaries for what you can do, like this simulator, like life simulator in a way, play this Ryu Hazuki, and his father gets murdered in the beginning. You have to solve your father's murder, basically, and you're like this martial arts sort of fighter, and also like exploring the small city where you live, and you have a clock. You go to bed at a certain time, go up certain time, and like it did so many new things. So it was very immersive. The first and second Shenmue games are classics, and they're on new consoles today.
Yeah, they were re-released.
Yeah. We even got the third Shenmue game through crowdfunding. I think they finally get one made, but it wasn't that good. It was the first and second one are classics. So, but I know if Dreamcast has a lot of fans. Still felt like that console never got a fair chance, basically.
Yeah, it's a very unique console. They have very unique games. So my brother, when it was fairly new released, he wanted for birthday. He knew he couldn't get the console, but it was when you still had video stores. Some of the younger listeners maybe don't know that if you wanted to see a movie you didn't have, you actually had to go someplace and rent the movie. Yeah. You could rent video games too.
Yes.
So my parents rented the Dreamcast for him for 1 or 2 evenings.
Cool.
So I got to play a pinball arcade game on it.
Okay.
I was blown away by the graphics of it. It's such a simple game, really, but the graphics was so unreal.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, that started more like more advanced 3D graphics, then into I think like PlayStation 2, for example, and so going forward. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Past
that was so.
millennium.
Yeah. Do you remember that back in what was it? Was it during the PlayStation 1 era? When you would first have the controller, just have a typical kind of controller, ergonomically built somewhat, without joysticks, and then they added the joysticks along with the vibration feature. Yeah,
because the Nintendo 64 was first with a rumble pack. You got the vibration from the console, from the controller. And I bought the Star Fox game. Here it was called Lylat Wars for some reason.
Oh, yeah, I got it too.
It was this huge package. It came in the game because you got the rumble pack with it. So it was such a cool thing to try out playing Star Fox when you're like this spaceship and all explosions and actions. You felt the rumble, It was also revolutionary. After that, as you said, John, you got it into the PlayStation Dual controller. Nintendo still kept pushing what you could do and trying different things, So, I also have to mention from PlayStation 1, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, masterpiece. Just taking, you had this power in the PlayStation, but you prefer to just make a really very good, like 16-bit style graphics instead, like this old school, but with more advanced graphic, what you could do with the PlayStation. One of the best games ever made, I think, Symphony of the Night.
Yeah, hands down.
Yeah, started like this Metroidvania trend,
Definitely, and as you said, like I just felt so amazing as I'm experiencing a lot of these games these days. And, I'm noticing that these games, like Alundra, Adventures of Alundra, the first one, it feels like it's a 16-bit game, but you would have these enhanced graphics in that format. And first and foremost, the lighting effects and the sounds. Are amazing. Yeah,
I played a lot of Alundra when that came out. I was really looking forward to it, like this Zelda-style adventure with a little more story to it and characters than normal Zelda, but it was very good graphics and music and lots of hard puzzles. It's not an easy game, Alundra. You have to solve a lot of puzzles all the time in it, but it's a classic also.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have anything that you want to add to, like PlayStation 1 stuff or whatever?
Not really.
No?
It was a very little PlayStation 1 for me back when it was the current gen, unfortunately.
Okay, all right.
It was a little Final Fantasy 7 at my older brother's friend's house. But that was basically it when it was the current gen console, unfortunately. Like I said, it's the dark ages in my video game history.
That's sad.
I missed out on so much.
Did it continue into like PlayStation 2 era also?
That's when I came back.
GameCube.
My younger siblings had the GameCube. So I played a little bit with them, but not very much. There's an age gap between us.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
So it was the PlayStation 2 that I got back into gaming.
Yeah. So. That was a really good console as well. Lots of classic games on PlayStation 2, like Silent Hill 2. Speaking of good games from PS1 era, Silent Hill, like redefined horror games. But just the way, I mean, the graphics. The first time I saw Silent Hill 2, what you can do on PS2, you know, felt so realistic, you know, with the character models and the lightning effects and all that, and Metal Gear Solid 2 also pushing what you could do, you know, and Final Fantasy X also a really good Final Fantasy game, and pushing the graphics forward, absolutely.
And it feels like the PlayStation 2 is like notorious for having such a huge, vast gaming library.
Yeah.
And I felt like, for anyone who wants to complete that, well, you're gonna need a house.
Or two, maybe.
But as these days I'm rediscovering the PlayStation 2, like, and I did have it shared in our family when I was younger. But we never had that many games, and we didn't have that many friends actually had it at the time. So pretty much, you know, as the next generation went on, we just, you know, forgot all about it. So I'm really investing into it right now. But, you know, like what am I saying? Metroid? No. Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. They were just amazing on there.
Yeah. Especially 3, like the subsistence version of it, because it re-released. So you had an online mode, and you had like a free camera control in the main game, and they added a lot of bonuses to it as well. That was a really good idea. It's still my favorite game of all time, Metal Gear Solid 3. So that was like the definitive edition of it. So I'm really looking forward to the remake now in August. It's releasing in August this year. See how it is, but
yeah, that's gonna be amazing.
It looks like incredible, really. But Hideo Kojima also pushing what you can do with games, you know, every time. Like the PlayStation 1, you had like the Psycho Mantis boss fights. He can read your mind, so you have to shift the controller to the second control port, so he can't read your mind. Like things like that, mind-blowing stuff, you know.
And wasn't it like that during one of the intro cutscenes with that boss that it just goes like, "You like to play Castlevania"?
Oh yeah, it read the save files on your memory card. So if you had Konami games, you had Castlevania, or you had Silent Hill or other games, Psycho Mantis would comment on that you used to play.
That's so clever.
Hey, it's so damn clever. And you had like this one guy you're supposed to contact Meryl to team up with her, and you just the character just forgets the code. You have to call her on a certain frequency. And he said, like, "Oh yeah, it should be on the back on the CD package or something." And like, "What CD package?" You started looking through your inventory. "I don't have any CD package. What's this?" You know, like that. But then you have to look at the physically package which you got the disc in that you have in your hand, and on the back side of that you have the code you're supposed to call. It's just, I mean, it's brilliant. Absolutely.
Smart, like piracy protection.
Exactly.
Exactly.
No, it's so much fun. But that's Kojima. He's a genius, I think.
I just think it's so amazing. And I still remember like the PlayStation 1, and you know, first and foremost the PlayStation 1 being where a lot of people would say that they would buy that because, you know, you could pirate it a lot more easily. Come on.
That's a lot of. I remember being at conventions, like sci-fi conventions here, and there were like vendors just selling openly pirated like thousands of PS1 games, basically all pirated. You could just buy it for very, very cheaply. Like, okay. So that was a big problem. That comes into the GameCube when Nintendo released that. They made these smaller discs, so it wasn't going to be easy to pirate the games.
Definitely,
So that was a response to all that. Did you play a lot of GameCube? Did you play GameCube?
No, not much.
No?
It was my younger sibling's console, unfortunately. So
that had some really good, like, Smash Brothers game. It was first on the Nintendo 64, but I never bought that. But I bought the first one to the GameCube. It was so much fun, and lots of Zelda games. Wind Waker, for example. Also, like, the cell shading, pushing that graphic style was very cool. And Resident Evil, the remake of the first game, like a masterpiece, and then you had a fourth, Resident Evil 4, that like changed the way people made games. You had all like these 3D, third-person viewing action games coming after Resident Evil 4, like also pushing what you could do with video games. So I didn't buy a lot of GameCube games, but I bought those classics, you know. Eternal Darkness was a good GameCube game as well, also with horror game that your character can go insane.
That's with the sanity meter.
You have a sanity meter, so sometimes the GameCube, I mean, it's fake, but it could just shut itself off or something, or start deleting your save files or something like, what? And I got it a couple of times. Like, I was going to save the game, played for a couple of hours, and it started deleting, and soon we reset the game. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, then it just go back to normal. Like, okay, it was just like this fake scare, but that's also like in the vein of Hideo Kojima style, the way you can play with the gamer and fool the gamer. So.
Yeah. And so the GameCube I did actually have. I remember getting it, you know, somewhere, not at release, but sometime later, and I just remember I loved it because I had it myself. And it was just so amazing, you know, like Rogue Squadron 2 Star Wars.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, there was Wind Waker, as you mentioned, Metroid Prime 1.
Oh, yeah.
That's
fantastic.
Yeah, Mario Sunshine, I loved a lot. And then there was Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Yeah.
And I did play the Nintendo 64 version a lot, and I ended up loving that. It really sparked the interest. And I still remember to this day going to the cinema at one point prior to the release of the Nintendo 64 game. And there was this trailer showing up of people dressed up in their costumes. So there was Pikachu, and there was Mario, Luigi, Bowser, and so on. And they just walked in the garden being friends, holding hands and whatnot. And then one turns to the other and punches in the face.
Nintendo had really good commercials, I think. Yeah, just all the Mario characters just fighting in a heap, basically, at the end.
People got so confused in that, you know, as we were sitting there, like, what's going on? What's this? They're friends.
No, that was really good. Really good. Mm-hmm.
But that generation, it really felt like, you know, the PlayStation 2 and the GameCube. Well, they were amazing pieces of hardware. I did kind of get annoyed with the fact that you needed a memory card.
Yeah.
Because it was just limited.
Yeah.
But, you know, that just became an issue. Like, okay, now I have too many games compared to the amount of memory cards, so now I need to buy more.
Yeah.
But then it felt like, you know, in the mid of that generation, the Xbox got released with internal memory.
Yeah. We're just going to say, then you had Microsoft introducing Xbox also on the market, and you got Halo. That also changed, the gaming landscape, I think. Yeah. A lot of people started to play Halo, multiplayer matches, and also Halo 2, online gameplay, and Game Pass, is from that era, I think, when they started to play online.
Xbox Live is.
Xbox Live, sorry. Yeah, from that sort of era. Yeah.
It actually is true. But I remember that controller, at first looking at it, I was like, what is this? Are they trying to reinvent the controller?
Yeah.
And then as I held it and I played through Ninja Gaiden, it was amazing.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Yeah.
But I still felt like, you know, there's something off about the controller. I don't like the big logo Xbox there. And then they would re-release the controller with a redesign being smaller. For the Japanese market.
It was quite chunky.
Yeah.
The original controller.
It
was. Yeah. But I was late to the Xbox party. I bought it much later, actually, but that was because I wanted to try out the Halo games. So certain games, and also Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Knights of the Old Republic was released for the Xbox. Really good game. You wanted to, as a gamer, you wanted to try everything. So,
yeah, that's great. But I don't really remember, you know, my dad had the Xbox original, and that was where he got himself this game Blinks. It felt like, you know, there was this, you know, cat character, not cel shading, but, you know, cartoon-ish animated kind of a game. It's not really that famous. It's the only one in its...
rings a bell.
Yeah, I don't remember much of the game. I don't remember if he had like a weapon, like a vacuum cleaner or whatever it was. Maybe I'm thinking Luigi's Mansion on the GameCube.
Yeah.
But the Splinter Cell 1, I remember, just felt like, the entire gaming tone was more serious.
Yeah.
And, I became, more aged as a gamer at that point, so I remember I just started to accept more that, okay, there's going to be less color in these games.
Yeah.
Less forgiving.
We you and me, John, we played through Gears of War, the series, and like the first 3 games or something has like 0 color, almost like everything is so washed out color-wise. It's so gray and dark. It's so strange, but it's like this dark period of in-game design. It's strange, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But as you say, it shifted because you wanted, as you became older, you wanted more like sort of mature games in a way. Like I started to get away a little bit more from Nintendo during that period,
Yeah.
So but then it changed again. Nintendo released the Wii, and you had this motion control, and it changed the landscape. What you could do with games, and it solved so well, and
definitely
Nintendo had a huge comeback because of that. So
yeah, definitely. And it just felt like experience. It almost felt it, according to my impressions, that this is just a GameCube with a different chassis.
Yeah, it was, because you could play the GameCube games on it, and you could use the memory cards and controllers and everything. It sort of was like that, but it was a fun console. With today, I prefer to play a game without the motion controls. It was at the time was very cool, but now it's more convenient to just play with a normal controller. But
I think the only one I play with motion controller was Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom in recent years. But they actually, when you aim the arrow, the aim with the controller. That's the only game I can think of on the top of my head where I actually use the motion controls.
Oh yeah, that's good. Speaking of Zelda, actually, they did implement the kind of gyro aiming feature back with a 3DS. Both for Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, where you would, actually have that feature. You could use the thumb pad wherever it was, or you could tilt the entire hardware to aim. And it kind of made sense, but I never really utilized it because, I got slow with it. But yeah, did you play any original Xbox at the time?
Original, I don't know. I started, it was PlayStation 2, then Xbox 360. I played a lot of PC games, Diablo and Diablo 2. When they were, especially Diablo 2, when it was released, and the expansion. I played so many hours.
Oh yeah, it is a masterpiece of a game.
It is, it really is. And it still holds up. When they released the remaster.
That resurrected version.
Yeah, resurrected.
Yeah.
It still holds up, even though, of course, the graphics isn't the same as in Diablo 3 or 4. So, but it still holds up, gameplay-wise especially.
Yeah. So cool. You played a lot of, as you say, more strategic games like StarCraft and...
Red Alert, I played some at a friend's house.
Yeah.
But they were way better than I was.
Okay.
So I always lost. So, and Civilization 2 I played a lot, but that was earlier on my grandparents' computer. And I think Civilization 3 I played on my own computer.
Okay. Did you play Half-Life, also classic on that?
I have never played Half-Life, actually.
Interesting.
Me neither. One of the few. Yeah.
That was also revolutionary in a way. Hoping it will be a re-release. They're starting to hear rumors about that official third entry, and they should re-release the first and second game in HD, I think, for newer consoles. It would be nice to go back.
Time. Yeah.
So if they were to release Half-Life 3, it will be an instant success.
Oh yeah,
like selling in amounts of games sold. Yeah, everybody will buy it, even if it's bad.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, they have the problem of living up to the hype for. Was it 20 years?
Yeah, oh my God. Yeah. So.
Oh man, do you remember any kind of like Xbox original games that were like this is amazing? Well, Halo, yes.
Yeah, Halo.
So there was Halo 1, 2, 3, and Reach and ODST.
Fable.
Yeah, Fable also a classic. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's my friend told me when we had the episode about upcoming games, our last episode.
Yeah.
He was seriously annoyed that we didn't mention Fable 4. I'm sorry, Fred.
We're rectifying it now. Yes. Sorry.
It will be amazing. We forgot about it. But it will be amazing.
Yeah.
There's 1,000 of games, we're like, because I also thought of games after that. Yeah, we should mention that and that and that. So, yeah.
Definitely. But the Fable games, as you mentioned, like I've just seen this game, the first and the second, and it feels like getting back to the first game, it hasn't really aged visually well. It seems.
No, it hasn't.
So I'm just hoping for maybe just a remaster of that game. That would be amazing.
It would be really fun because they have the relationship aspect of it, where choices actually matter in your relationship with other people and other NPCs. And I think, I'm not sure, but I want to say that was pretty early for that mechanic, to use that mechanic, especially in such a big scope. I'm not sure, maybe other games has done it before.
One of the first I remember is also the game we mentioned, Star Wars, Knights of the Republic. You also forged relationships with your characters, and you can take the light side or the dark side, and also romance options and stuff like that. I remember that was one of the first ones that you could do that, and it did it really well. I think. Yeah.
Right. And then I'm thinking there is that game that I never played, Elder Scrolls Morrowind.
Yeah, Morrowind, that's a classic.
That was really good.
I had it, but it's like, I don't think it's. I think it's better today if you have a PC and it's modded and you can just enjoy it, because I just played it on the Xbox and the graphics weren't that good. I had high expectations for it, and I love fantasy, getting into that fantasy world, but I don't know. It was so. You couldn't see very far on the Xbox, and the graphics weren't that good. And sure, it had some fun, creative choices you could do for your characters and everything like that. I totally get why people love that game, but I think on console it didn't work that well. And you always had these flying enemies above your head, no matter where you were going, who you had to wait out and kill all the time. And so I got sort of annoyed at it. I just completed the story, the main story for the game, but I never returned to it. I know it's a cult game and it has a lot of followers.
Yeah, but maybe they got limited. They have a grand vision, but they got limited by the hardware.
Yeah.
That you can only see X meters in front of you.
But my first game,
hardware.
Speaking of hardware, when I get into the PlayStation 3, the first game I bought the same day I bought the console was Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, because that was the game that I had always wanted, this fantasy game. And I saw this, the videos of the forests and the lakes, and you could just go around this environment, and it was so big and expensive, and the total freedom of making your own character. And so that was what I hoped for Morrowind. It did in Oblivion, and I played that so hundreds of hours. I think different characters and completing all the quest lines different times, and because that was what I always wanted. Just getting out of that the big city in Oblivion, get out of the sewers. You're escaping from a prison cell, and just standing there on the shore, and you see the wind is blowing and the trees are shifting and the sun is setting. Wow, this is almost like Ocarina of Time for the first time. What you can do with graphics today. It's very immersive, and today I think still rumors are going around that we're going to get a new remastered version of Oblivion. See if it happens, but back then the graphics were wow, amazing, what you could do and how it looked, and
I have such memories of the Xbox 360 the first time I played it. It felt like this was just amazing. Not just the introduction of HD, but I love the controller.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that it was, cordless, and then the graphics, because everything felt like, the colors were vibrant.
Yeah.
And this was pre-HDR. Yeah. It was so. I still remember back at the time. I don't know. I do believe that you were there. We were at our friend Henry's house, and I remember that one time Henry had me sit down into his one-person
the
sofa.
About chair.
Exactly. I had me lean back, and then he gave me the Xbox 360 controller, and he fired up Need for Speed Most Wanted.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I was so blown away.
That was so good, that game. It's one of my favorite from the 360, but I think it's also a huge factor is that you and me and Henry played it a lot together. Yeah. It was such a good game.
Yeah, it just felt so amazing, and I was just so disturbed by the fact that the console had this huge brick of a power supply.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I even heard that it took almost, required just as much power as a freezer would do.
Yeah.
The 360 had that first problem with the Ring of Death, right?
Yeah.
That you could just die basically at any time or something like that, and you couldn't move it if you had a disc inside it or something like that. You could just kill the console basically.
Yeah, that was very fragile. The first batch of it.
Yeah,
so they did fix the problem eventually. Yeah. Fortunately.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, they also had one of the 360 games that I spent the most time with. Was a Guitar Hero.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
So good.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I had it both on the PS2 and the 360.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the perfect party game.
Yeah.
Two guitars, so two people could play. Everyone else could sit, listen to the music, and drink beer. And so such a great party game.
That was such a good idea. I actually got this was many years ago, but when I turned 25. At my birthday party, my friends gave me Guitar Hero. That was on the Wii though, but it was like this perfect gift, just to, as I say, as a party game. It was perfect, and like years ahead, we always had Guitar Hero on at some point and just played played songs on it. And it's like, it was just such a huge deal. Then it sort of died off. This sort of
the market got saturated.
You
had all
the Rock Band series.
Yeah, you had the Rockman series, but you got only the Guitar Hero series. You had the 1, 2, 3, then the World Tour. You had Aerosmith. You had Rock Band had Beatles and Metallica.
Yeah.
You had Guitar
Hero had Metallica.
Guitar Hero had Metallica.
Aerosmith?
Yeah. Aerosmith was a Guitar Hero.
It was a ton of those dedicated ones.
80s music, which I loved because I love 80s rock and roll.
Yeah.
That was a really good one.
And there were greatest hits involving re-releases for some reason. Why would you need a re-release of a song? But then again, maybe you can really access that song in the but then you would have the online store to get separate songs. But Guitar Hero was amazing, and then DJ Hero came along.
Yeah, that was fun for 10 minutes or so. But I think that if you are into that kind of music instead, I think it's probably more fun than we would think it is.
It's important the way, like the instrument, like the guitar, everybody can pick it up and try it,
exactly.
So it has to be that sort of
And they had the SingStar for the PlayStation 2 had a SingStar.
And the PlayStation 3 also got them later.
Yeah, I think so.
But definitely. And it was just so amazing with all, how that worked, because it didn't really listen to you singing correctly. You could sing a note in a very wrong way, but it was still going, good job!
It took a keyboard, since it only listened to the frequency of the tone. It took a keyboard and played the song with the microphone up against the keyboard speaker. Got 100% on song.
Oh man,
so nice. It was kind of a reinvention of party games, because we had Mario Party, for example, before it. But suddenly it was a more, I don't know how to say it, more physical party games.
Yeah,
So we
more
had a
non-gamer friendly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I guess with the Wii, as you said,
with the bowling
Wii Sports that
Wii
came
Sports,
with it. It was like bowling. We still bowl to this day. Sometimes when I meet with my family, we hook up the old Wii and play a couple of rounds of bowling. Like, it's still fun. It's so good. And also with tennis and boxing and things like that. And a lot of people who never played games started to get into it because of that. So I think it opened the world into that, what you more can do, like with Guitar Hero and things like that.
There's a vivid memory from Wii Sports when we were at your place. I think it was your birthday back in the day. You, me, and some other friends. You had the Wii Sports.
Yeah.
One of them, we played the golf game.
Oh yeah, and I remember.
Yeah, one of them said, we don't need that hand strap. And he just launched the controller like a decimeter above the TV straight into the wall. The controller survived. But he
the wall also?
But he wasn't allowed to play that game again. Because I remember, it's like the look on John's face as he probably sees in slow motion the controller getting closer and closer to the TV.
Oh yeah,
that was a thing. I remember playing with my mom years ago, and it actually slipped away the controller and hit the TV. So it was okay, but it got a little bit of marking where it hit, like in the screen, like that, and like everybody use the strap from now on, no more like just playing for fun. Because it could fly really hard, really fast.
So many videos of YouTube people just wrecking the whole TV because they dropped the controller.
Especially because that's the point also when they start to get more into those flat screen TVs, you know. So many of those got wrecked by the Wii controller flying away. Yeah,
definitely.
But that was also cool technology-wise. Yes, I remember getting my first flat screen TV. I think it was a Samsung or something. Just playing like PlayStation 3 on it for the first time, and I played like Metal Gear Solid 4, and just like, wow, games can look this good now in high definition on new TV screens. Also completely changed the way we look at games. You know, it had lower resolution, and we thought it was pretty normal before on the old TVs, but now with the high definition, we just wanted more crisper, cleaner graphics in a different way also. So technology always pushes things like that. So and that also have made it harder, of course, to play older games on new TVs as well. And John, you have a huge technical stuff with you if we're going to play older games sometimes here on my TV, just to be able to get a good video quality for it.
Definitely.
So that's why more game companies should re-release games, old games, just so it could be played on newer hardware, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of the old games, they took advantage of the fuzziness of the picture on the CRT TVs. So the pixels would sort of blend together more than they do on an LCD or LED or plasma. So it's way more noticeable on the new TVs. Not only because they are bigger, but also because you have the sharper image. So you can take advantage of the bad image on the CRT TV.
Yeah, definitely. So, and then I remember, as I heard this pretty late on into the PlayStation 3's life, or maybe even past that, I heard that the PlayStation 3 was compatible with PlayStation 1 games. And so I figured, played through HDMI, that could make them look sort of better. So if you would already have it, go for it. But being someone like me, I felt like, okay, maybe I should compare the result that I would get from a PlayStation 1 game. Is it better to play on original hardware? But you could play it on the PlayStation 1, 2, or 3. But
that was it was very expensive, I think, that first PlayStation 3, because as you said, you could play the older games like PS1 games on it also, but it was very expensive. Then they removed that feature, made it more easier to buy as well, like a lot cheaper.
And then it had a Blu-ray player that was revolutionary too, for the competition. So that was like amazing.
Also pushing that format, the Blu-ray format. Absolutely. Yeah, and looking, as I said, with these new TV screens and looking at Blu-ray movies, like, well, wow, it looks incredible.
That was so amazing. And I remembered how it elevated the gameplay. Like, the first gaming experience I had with the PlayStation 3 once I owned it was actually the first Uncharted game. I was so blown away by that.
Yeah, that's a very good one.
So,
but it was also like, it was pushing like the PlayStation 2 had like DVD player. So I mean, it pushed like video format as well.
But it was so weird. It had a DVD player, but in order to play DVD movies, you had to get like an add-on for it.
That's so strange. So strange.
Oh man. Yeah. I believe we've been going for quite a while. I could continue. Or should we split this into 2 episodes?
It feels like it.
We could split it into 2. Yeah, absolutely. We're at the end here, or at least talking about PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, Wii, period. So much to talk about. And you who are listening to this, just fun to hear from you what you have experienced from your gaming journey. What did we miss? We missed thousands of games just sitting here talking about our experiences. But it's
luckily we didn't miss Fable this time.
No. We have to make a special Fable episode later, maybe just to that. So So, guys, do you have anything to add for today for this episode?
No, thank you guys for listening and stay tuned for part 2.
Yeah, same. Just drop suggestions on subject we could talk about.
So
it would be really fun to see what other people wants to hear from us.
Absolutely. Okay, so we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
Bye.